Thor's great fishing trip. Once upon a time, long, long ago, when the world was young and full of magic, the mighty god Thor decided to go on a fishing trip. But this was no ordinary fishing trip, oh no. Thor had got it into his head that he would catch the very biggest fish there was, the Midgard serpent itself. Now you might wonder who the Midgard serpent was? Well, it was a serpent so long that it coiled around the entire earth and bit its own tail. Imagine that. Thor packed his bag with sandwiches and juice, for even gods get hungry, and set off to see the giant Hymir. "Hello, Hymir!" Thor shouted. "May I borrow your boat? I'm going fishing." Hymir looked skeptically at Thor. "Fishing? You? Well, take the boat then, but be careful with it." So Thor and Hymir sailed out onto the big, dark sea. The waves were high and the foam was spraying, but Thor just laughed. He thought it was wonderful. When they had gone far out to sea, Thor cast his fishing rod. For bait, he used a whole ox head. Can you imagine that? A whole ox head on the hook. Suddenly, Thor felt a mighty tug on the line. Something big had taken the bait. Thor pulled and tugged, and the boat rocked violently. "What on earth have you got on the hook?" Hymir exclaimed in fright. But Thor just smiled and kept pulling. Slowly but surely, something enormous came up towards the surface. It was the Midgard serpent. Its eyes glowed like fireballs, and its mouth was so big it could swallow an entire city. Hymir was so scared that he dropped both his jaw and his oar. But Thor, he wasn't afraid. He drew his sword and got ready to strike the serpent on the head. But just then, right when Thor was about to strike, Hymir cut the fishing line with his knife. Splash! The Midgard serpent disappeared back into the depths. Thor got so angry that his beard began to crackle with lightning. "Why did you do that?" he roared at Hymir. "Because you're crazy," Hymir replied. "What if you had killed the serpent? Then the whole world would have fallen apart." Thor grumbled and muttered the whole way back to land. But deep down, he probably knew that Hymir was right. And you know, dear listener, to this day the Midgard serpent still swims down there in the depths of the sea. And sometimes, when it storms really badly, they say it's the serpent moving around. So the next time you see big waves, think of Thor's fishing trip and smile a little to yourself.